What I am fearful of is an armed confrontation between local law enforcement and these feds. James Comey is a piece of as far as I'm concerned. When Hillary was up, he took her down. When Trump was elected, he tried to take him down. So I just don't shed any tears for James Comey.
I mean, it does seem to me we're reaching a new level of low in this Department of Justice, really.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
My old pal Geraldo Rivera, who is also an attorney, a great legal analyst, and really gets the sort of balance of politics and the law, which a lot of this stuff is. All right, Geraldo, why don't we start? Let's start with this National Guard ruling here and the administration's response. You got people like Stephen Miller and Caroline Leavitt blasting the judge here. I don't even know if this is a particularly close legal call when it comes to what's happening in Oregon.
Putting the guard issue just aside for a moment, what I fear, Dan, and it's great to be with you. You're one of the great minds in legal analysis on TV, and I had known you for many years and respect you deeply.
Thank you.
In terms of what's going on between the California Guard and the Oregon Guard and the militia and everybody else deployed in Chicago, what I am fearful of is an armed confrontation between local law enforcement and these feds, between ICE and cops. I think that when you have leaders who are like Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, who are so, hyper in terms of their desire to confront Trump, you stir up, hometown sentiments that I think make for a very tumultuous kind of situation where violence is possible. I think ICE, let me just take ICE for a second, is the least popular law enforcement agency of my lifetime. And that goes back to New York cops in the 60s and 70s. I think that, the mask, the affected masks that they wear, the attitude that so many have, they have a very unpopular mission. And I'm fearful of that kind of internal violence. In terms of the issue of the president sending California guardsmen where Oregon guardsmen were, prohibited by the judge, it seems so gimmicky to me. I don't understand why the Trump administration would stoop so low. What do they want? What do they want out of this? What do they get? Is this between Gavin Newsom and Donald Trump, whose Johnson is bigger? I think that it's ridiculous. It's very embarrassing to watch. Portland, Oregon is not under siege. We've been covering this damn thing since before George Floyd and that civil disobedience and the violence of George Floyd. You have one block downtown in Portland that is engaged somewhat. These protests seem pretty anemic to me. To suggest that Portland is burning is ridiculous. What are you going to believe me or your lying eyes? So I wish the president would focus more on the Mideast and these other issues.
Well, and by the way, and I've given him a lot of credit for what's happening in the Mideast. To be clear, I mean, for this show, I've been blasting this administration, but on a previous show last week, I gave the administration a lot of credit for what's happening in the Middle East. And I think this is something Biden could not have pulled off. We'll see if they're able to pull this off. But the fact that they're even this close, I think is a result only because of fear of Trump by both Netanyahu and the Arab partners. Real quick, do you agree with me on that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's his unprecedented, extraordinary pressure, his popularity, his charisma, his physical involvement. He's going to bring these two together.
Yeah.
He's got Netanyahu and by one ear, and at least the guitar is on the other side.
So, but let's come back to this issue because it sounded like to some degree you're putting some blame on Governor Pritzker from Illinois, sort of for raising the stakes, et cetera, for your fear, which would be absolutely terrible if there would be any kind of confrontation between local police and ICE. I mean, do you blame him or do you blame Trump?
Well, I was watching the body count out of Chicago over the years, and the story comes back periodically. This weekend, 10 killed. This weekend, 7 killed. This weekend, 8 killed. It's obvious that the south side of Chicago is a war zone. But that's not primarily where ICE is operating, where this task force is operating. They're operating in the Latino areas, which are far less violent by statistics. Why are they doing that? It was like a bait and switch. They sold me on the deterrence of a federal force and switched it for a sweep of migrants. The whole thing is a fraud. It's not to make peace in Chicago. It's to round up the migrants. And with the use of every law enforcement agency they can get their hands on. It's awful. It's pathetic. They have 1,000 people already, I heard. And how many of them are criminals? A tiny handful. They totally bait and switched us. They gave us a head fake that we all fell for. We're okay. Our federal police are okay. They're doing their job.
I'd say the same thing about ICE, by the way. I mean, you were very critical of ICE. I would say most of the ICE.
You have to wear a mask.
I support our ICE agents who are out there doing what they're instructed to do.
If you have to wear a mask to go to work, then there's, by definition, no honor in the job that you are asked to do. ICE was promised to be the people who went after the criminals, the child molesters, the murderers, the bank robbers. Who are they arresting? Juan and Maria at the bakery, at the babysitters or the lawnmowers or the dishwashers. It's pathetic. And this disruption that you see now, this is the beginning. There's tens of millions of Latinos in this country who are now being eyed with a suspicion that the other non-Latino Americans are not. And I'm telling you, Dan, that what you see is this little tiny evidence of what the potential disruption is. Here, a little couple in Chicago pushing and shoving. There in Oregon, whatever it is. The more, and she wants to now arrest Latinos in the parking lot of the Super Bowl when Bad Bunny is performing the halftime show. People have to understand that in terms of Latinos, the largest minority group in the country by far now, they have the same rights and feel the same kind of pride as every other American. And to see people being singled out because of their brownness is something, it's so obvious. Why did you stop that vehicle, ICE officer? Well, the tail light was blinking, or the license plate didn't have a screw in it. So you stopped. So now the cops stopped the car for the errant light. And when they stop the car, the ICE agent comes up on the side of the cop and says, "By the way, Juan Espinosa, can I see your ID?" Juan Espinosa has been here for 37 years. He owns the bakery. Now he's going to be in the immigration prison, being shipped back to Dominican Republic. It's I'm telling you this. I wanted the border sealed. Trump has done a magnificent job in stopping immigrants crossing the southern border. Southern border now is a real border. You have to have papers or you don't get in. At least have now some compassion for those who are already here, particularly those who have been here for many years, those who have no criminal record, those, the children of these people, the dreamers. Remember the dreamers? I don't know. I just think that people underestimate how offensive it is to this one ethnic group, these actions. This is targeted. They're not going after the people from Finland. They're going after the people from Oaxaca. And I understand. He did a great job on the border. Now show some compassion. Now show some magnanimity.
Talking to Geraldo Rivera, the number's 866-967-6887. If you've got questions or comments for Geraldo, we're going to take your calls right after this break.